don't know about anybody else, when it comes to Operation Scarlet Spear, they kept saying that the main line will come before the operation itself goes live. Of course, this could mean that the main line comes and then 10 seconds later the operation goes live, but the main line that will come beforehand will include a lot of the changes that they talked about in yesterday's dev stream, that I will put a link to the forum post for the overview in the description below, because I'm not going into the fact that they're changing the way that shotguns work. They are increasing the status mods for them and the status of pretty much every weapon, not just shotguns, but shotguns are going to be the biggest change when it comes to that. And from everything that we're seeing, a lot of people, I do agree with what Steve said here, are going to say that this is going to be a nerf, but it's actually going to be a buff, because each pellet is going to have its own individual damage rather than it just being the damage spread across all of them, which means in theory they should do more status damage. The status itself is going to be changed on everything to be better, as well as lots of other things. I'm secretly crossing my fingers and hoping that one of the things that comes is not the capturer, that other room you go to have a look round. But Scarlet Spear itself is set to come early March, which, let's be honest, can only put it to one of 2 weeks. It's going to be next week or the week after. After that, we're into different points, but it is confirmed it is going to have its own relay, as you can see here, with what looked like error kind of hovering in the middle there. What you are going to have to do in these is basically board the ship using this terminal over here, because it's going to see the birth of the squad link system that they promised us back in TennoCon, I think it was, last year. You can either use that first terminal to be on the ship, or use that one to be on the ground. Which, I like the fact that they're doing it this way, because you can choose which one to be. It's not just going to be a random event that is going to kind of happen, that means you can choose to do it or choose not to do it. You basically have the same choice, but now it's not while you're busy doing something else. It will give you a choice. You instantly have to choose. You can go onto the ship or you can go onto the planet. Really, I'm looking forward to the way that works. But you can see Little Duck is going to basically be in charge of this. She is going to be the one who gives you the rewards. Everything is going to be here. But it's a sentient invasion that is going to come, and you are basically fighting them off. What, again, we will have to do during this, kind of unknown. You can take guesses that talk about networks and having to break them on the ground and in the ship. So if the squad link works the way it did before, there's a possibility that the way that this is going to work is there's going to be something on the planet you are going to have to take down to take off possibly a shield for the sentient ships. But you can see, there it is, vendor. It's a placeholder option at the moment, because obviously the event is not live yet. It is coming soon. But she is going to be the one you have to go to get the rewards. She is going to be the one that explains the missions, what you have to do. First thing you do in this event is going to be go and talk to Little Duck to have everything explained to you. All she explains at the moment is that, well, Squad Link is going to be a big part of this event. Ha! Found it. They're going to be shipping the content of the workshop, which is basically these 21 things, as they kept saying, with Scarlet Spear now. It's not before. I mean, technically it is, but as I said earlier, it could be just before. Literally, they launch the main line, and then Scarlet Spear will be the operation that comes with it. A lot of people have said, with Operation Scarlet Spear, you're going to need your Railjack finished to be able to do the missions in space. You know the one I mean, the Rising Tide quest. Upon completing it, you get your Railjack, because it's the quest for building your Railjack. Well, as I mentioned, the cost of this is going to go down to 66, 70 something percent of what it is now. We were literally just looking at it. Reduced between, is that it's going to cost 66% less to 75% less? Or is it being reduced to 66% of what it is? Which means it's only really going down 34% or 25%? This, instantly, a lot of people were, well, what about resources? I was watching the comments at the time, the chat at the time, and was having a good laugh. I was actually seeing the same thing on Discord. It's like, oh, they reduced the cost. That's really nice of them. Shame if you already have it, you've spent a lot of resources on building it. They admitted that what they will do is give you the resource difference back. Meaning that, come on, 20 neural sensors, 80 carbides. It's not a great deal. You can get most of these back doing a few missions. The resources weren't the real damage here. It was time and everything else. If you have completed it, you will get 2 rush repair drones as, I'm not going to say compensation, but it's that part right there that is going to make a lot of people happy. The credits will also be returned, because I said it at the time and a lot of people turned around to me and said, you can't complain about this, you have millions of credits. Yes, I do, but not everybody does. It's expensive for those who don't have the kind of money I did. I say did, still haven't recovered from that, and it was months ago. As well as the 2 rush repair drones. If you are part way through doing the quest, you will get some of your resources back you have already spent and 1 rush repair drone. Meaning that completing the Rising Tide quest now costs you a lot less. You can now get you will be able to, upon this update actually going live, be able to build your Railjack and get into the event quicker and cheaper if you haven't done it yet. So for those who haven't done the Rising Tide quest yet, it's going to cost a lot less. For those who are partway through completing the Rising Tide quest, you are going to get some of the resources you have already spent doing this back. If you have already completed it, you are going to get a huge chunk of your resources back. 5 point something million credits is a big deal for a lot of players. You can turn around and say, well, I'm not going into the fact that people kept telling me that I was given things to complete this quest and that I shouldn't get anything back, but I was given nothing to complete this quest. I was not asked to do a video on completing this quest. And honestly, when that came out, I was getting rather annoyed at the amount of people who kept telling me that Digital Extremes give me everything and rushed everything to complete the quest, even though I showed the fact that that was not true. We'll have to go back and make alterations to that video though, because, well, now it's going to cost a lot less. Shame I can't replay it. I guess I could, if I redid everything over on one of the consoles, for example. I was actually about to go to the dojo, but it means building that is going to be cheaper. It also means that with this operation coming in early March, not April, as I said last night, because I could have sworn that's what they said, but I got that wrong. I didn't do it in the video though, so I guess it doesn't count. Coming in early March with this event means that finally this giant ship that is hovering above your orbiter is going to serve a purpose, because right now a lot of people don't use these things anyway. They just kind of hover here, and I wish it would put the orbiter beneath so you can actually see it, but the orbiter is invisible. That's why you can't see it. That's why the enemies can't see it. It means this thing is finally going to be useful. It's going to be easier to get it. It's going to be easier to take part in the event because it's easier to get it. And it means that this event is not a worry for everyone. because a lot of people are saying, well, I don't have my Railjack yet, I can't afford it. This is why they are lowering the price of it. It means that people who haven't got their Railjack can get it built upon this update going live, which is why, as I mentioned earlier, I'm hoping it's not one of those, oh yes, here's an event, it's going to last the weekend. Hopefully it'll be, oh yes, here's an event, it's going to last. Well, let's just take this as the example, and this is a returning thing, and it lasts for 14 days. If it lasts for 14 days, and it takes you, it's 6 hours apart, half the time it took to build that thing floating there, yeah, that's a couple days. That means you still have a lot of time to jump into this event when it goes live. You just have to wait until the update comes out. Again, they said early March. I'm hoping early March is actually early March, not mid-March, which means next week. No matter which way you put this, it means next week, which means I'm kind of glad something I wanted to do next week is kind of delayed by a couple months, because that means I may actually be able to play this event. Which also means I should go over to Discord and fix a few things I said about if this event does come in April, I'm going to quit playing Warframe, because I have other things that I need to do in April and play in April, and that event is not one of them. So I'm kind of happy that I got that wrong, but at the same time, it means that the Railjack is going to be much more useful. What on earth are you two doing? Okay, you weird little rumbas. But anyway, Railjack is going to be more accessible, it's going to be easier to get, the error quest apparently is going to be easier to do and get as well during the operation that is to come, and the operation early March, about the same time that the actual main line comes, that changes all of this stuff that makes that easier to get, which is great for an operation that requires that. And that's the reason I wanted to do this, because that is going to be needed for the operation. Because if we start, or we finish where we started, the first terminal that is gone to during this, I actually love that ship. It looks much better there than it does in space. But the first terminal on the left here is going to space, because it takes place on both sides. It brings squad link. You can go to Earth, which means you don't need the Railjack to actually do this whole operation, but if you want to experience the whole thing properly, you need the Railjack to go to space. And you can literally see the Railjack sitting outside. So having the Railjack, much easier, but you don't particularly need it, because squad link, you will be able to go over here and do the missions from the ground, or do the missions from space if you go over there. But anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.